What's up everybody, I'm Abatage and this is Assault Android Cactus. We're going to play the Aubergine campaign.
Roger.
Now, I'll be honest with you, I haven't played Aubergine very much. I played her a fair bit when I first unlocked her, but yeah, this could be a fairly painful series as we move through the zones, especially as we get into the later zones. Well, it's probably more painful in the early zones because they're like a lot easier. And if I suck at those, it won't be as impressive or as acceptable, I guess. But yeah, I'm not very good with her because of the fact that I haven't played her very much. And having said that though, I do think Aubergine's one of the most interesting characters that are in the game. And I am trying to concentrate very hard right now, so that's why I'm stumbling over my words. But yes, because of Hilo and the way Hilo controls, she's incredibly different to the others. She's not just a point and shoot. Like, at the moment I am not holding down my fire button. I'm doing little presses here and there to kind of push and pull Hilo, which is the big spinny thing if you're not aware. To push and pull Hilo away from me and let her come back towards me. So as I push the fire button, she'll move away from me. And then as I let go, she'll fly back towards me. And that wasn't too bad, but you can see it's not as balls out as some other things. Bit of an S+ though, can't complain. But yeah, the difficulty with Aubergine is controlling Hilo, because Hilo, especially powered up, is very effective and has a lot of power. But you can see that she kind of just goes in the direction you're pointing, but because she's flying away at a distance, she's not necessarily going like a bullet, as in as soon as you turn, she's facing that way. She's got to have time to swing around and come back at you that way. And I've just missed that battery, but oh well. It happens. And I do have to remember to use the singularity generator, which is the black hole thing, a little bit more often, because that would help, I think. But you can see how quickly Hilo rips through enemies when you manage to keep her on there for very long. But that is the difficulty. And there's some debate on how's best to handle Hilo as well, because I tend to favour the so-called feathering technique a little bit more, which is what I'm doing, where I'm pushing the fire trigger just a little bit at a time, and kind of softly pushing her away from me, and you know, trying to keep her going in the right direction. Whereas some other people will, as I've heard and seen, hold down the fire button, but then just change the way that Aubergine's facing. So to demonstrate that, if I can, but I'll wait until I'm not going to die. Is I'll hold down the fire trigger, but see how I can move like a completely wrong direction and stuff to keep her closer to me and that sort of thing. And that's a little bit counterintuitive to me, although I have been playing around with it and it is kind of nice here and there. So, you know, I think they're all valid ways to play, as is anyway. You know, it doesn't really matter how you play it as long as you're having fun. But yeah, I do really enjoy the fact that Aubergine is completely different to the way any of the other androids play. Like, they're all different in their own respect, but the fact that she doesn't have a straight-up gun projectile weapon is just a stroke of genius as far as I'm concerned. And you can see I make mistakes like I did just then, where I lost Hilo altogether because I wasn't pressing the button enough. And this is where I find shutdowns are a good thing with Aubergine, because they kind of help me get some positioning with Hilo. And yeah, you can see how I'm not as flat out offensive with
Accelerate.
Hilo as I am with other characters. And that's purely because I'm concentrating very, very hard to try and control my own position and Hilo's position at the same time, which is like, you know, patting your head and rubbing your tummy.
Firepower.
It can be a little bit counterintuitive.
Battery here.
But now that she's all powered up, look how quickly she can rip through stuff. Very, very cool. Let's have another one of these. Oh, and I knew that was going to happen before it happened, as to. That's cool, we're almost done. But as I say, this could be a fairly painful run through the 5 zones because this is only the first zone and I'm already struggling in my head. It's like you can feel the gears just grinding against each other. One thing I do really like about Hilo though is the way you can kind of get behind stuff and still attack on the other side like this. Like if I keep her far away, I can hide behind these walls. Oop. And then when someone drops down next to me, I get murdered, but that's okay.
Shut down.
But yeah, so she can be a little bit... feel a little bit slow, I find. But that's only because I think I'm not so hot at controlling her. I think she's a lot faster if you do just hold down the button and skip her around, like I'm doing now. But then I feel like I spend too much time looking at Hilo and not enough figuring out my positioning. And yeah, so she's a very unique character in that sense. And I think a stroke of genius
Accelerate. Battery
when it comes to the design of this character. She's probably my what I consider to be the most interesting character in the game. Once again, I apologize for my stumbled words. I'm still trying to just concentrate and she doesn't make it easy. You don't want to be discussing French light opera while attacking robots with Hilo.
Battery here.
That's a Blackadder reference. I think we can do it easily enough.
Shut down.
See if we can keep it softly pressed on there. Do one of these. Oh, I don't know where that went. Ah, so the difficult thing about
Battery
the
over here.
black hole, which makes sense because it works the same way as every other secondary, is you have to hit your left trigger to switch to it, and then also hit your right trigger to activate it,
Battery here.
which I was forgetting to do just then. Because I constantly am tapping very softly my right trigger,
Team.
it yeah, it makes it a little bit more difficult. So this will be interesting, old embryo. Because I'm not the best at bosses at the best of times, let alone with a character who I am not too familiar with and find difficult to control. So yes, Aubergine is a security type android. Oop. Let's keep that going. Like I say, the goal here is simply to survive and not a lot else. The cool thing is I can do this, where I have Hilo off at a distance doing damage, and then I can stay well away from the lasers. Except when I fuck it up like that, but anyway. Let's try doing it a bit more traditionally. I find getting that balance right so that there's enough distance between me and Hilo while still not being terrible. Not making any sense, am I? That's what happens when you don't know what you're doing and you're trying to concentrate. Should be using that a lot more. See, I stuffed it up then because I didn't push the trigger. Oh. That was fairly good for that particular run of phase of the boss. That shutdown didn't help me as much as I would have hoped. That was because I didn't utilize it properly. Whew. We've got through it. First time, that's not bad. Although it is embryo. That's where I think Aubergine is better for certain bosses like Vespula. Because Vespula often requires a lot of distance to be had, but then sometimes you need to get up close. It's hard to say, but that's why we're playing it. We're checking out Aubergine, heading through the stages. Let's see what happens when it starts getting a bit harder. Because that, my brain has melted trying to coordinate those things. Hopefully the more I play it, the more I'll get used to it, and that's kind of the idea anyway. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Goodbye.